wanted to become a teacher in elementary. And I that's what I wanted to do. But then my husband started working for the farm. My brother kind of told him, hey, we need someone to fix tractors. And so my husband went to UTI, and so he did start working here. I would come over and bring my husband lunch, and then I would see that my brother was stressed out with L&I stuff or payroll, and he told me that he would be up until like midnight working on payroll. So I told him, do you want me to help you? And I was just going to do it for free just to help my brother out. And he said, yeah. So I started doing that. And then after doing that for a few weeks, he said, hey, we're going to start hiring people. Do you want to fill out W-4s and I-9s? And I'm like, sure. And then after doing that, he said, hey, can you work on chemical records and fertilizer records? And I'm like, oh, what is that? Okay. And so I started doing that, and now I do work on payroll, fertilizer records, chemical records. I go out, and he said, hey, let's go do walkarounds. I said, okay. And so I had no idea what a walkaround was, and it's just to kind of walk around the orchards and make sure that everything looks good, everything is safe for the employees. Tractors have PTO covers. And before that, I had no idea what any of this was. So learning everything with him, driving around and getting to know the people that we work with and talking to them, it was very educational. And so that drove me towards the ag industry. When I first started in payroll, we had papers and papers and papers. It was so much paperwork. And now we just about 2 years ago, we were introduced to PickTrace. So PickTrace now, it's almost like a cell phone device, and all the crew leaders have one, and all they have to do is just scan the employee in. We don't need a lot of paperwork now. With the technology that we have now, we've reduced the paperwork, we've reduced the hours that the employees have to stay and work after hours. So when we were in harvest, the crew leaders would have to stay, and they'd have to figure out, okay, this is how many bins we picked of apples. So we need to make sure that the paperwork has that amount of bins. And so they would stay for 2 hours. And now everything is done live on PickTrace. We log in and we see how many bins we picked, how much money we spent on that block, how much money we spent on that variety. Everything is live data, and so it's been very, very helpful. The Global Gap and L&I, there are a lot of documents that we need. There are a lot of rules and regulations that we have to follow, and so figuring out, okay, we do this for Global Gap, but we don't have to do it for L&I. That's where it gets a little bit difficult. So training the employees is one thing that's been it's been pretty hard. And so trying to take paperwork away from them is what I would like to do. And I feel with technology, it's getting to that point, like I said, but I feel like there's just so much more. Get to know what agriculture is about, because it's not just about working long hours out in the sun. You come into work not knowing what's going to happen next. Sometimes I get calls early in the morning like, hey, we need you out here. We need to fill out 50 new applications. And so it's a rush. And I remember I used to work in a cubicle, and now I think back to that and I think, oh, I would never go back to that. So again, just going out there and knowing that you're going to learn something new every day, I really enjoy it. And I think the younger generation will too.